Welcome to VUTV. You are listening to Future Ready Learners, a platform where we talk about how to live better, learn smarter, and prepare for the world that's changing faster than our phone's operating system. I am your host Pranav Bagul, and today we are talking about something that secretly controls your stress levels, your grades, and honestly, your future, your habits with technology. Does your phones and laptops really help you grow, or they are just distracting machines? To help us figure out that, we are joined with someone who spends most of his days studying digital culture, student success, and how technology can actually boost your learning instead of destroying your attention span. Our guest, Dr. Spangler. He is an associate professor of information technology at Middle Georgia State University. He teaches human computer interaction, digital media, project management, and researches how students use technology, how to keep them engaged, and how tools like AI and mobile tech are reshaping learning. And he has a cool twist. He edited Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a classical personal development book, into 7 tech habits that any students can use to become more focused, more organized, and more successful. So, if you're a high school senior or a college student who's ever thought that I know I should be studying, but somehow I'm still on Instagram, then this episode is for you. Hello everyone, welcome to VUTV. I am your host Pranav Bagul, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Dr. Scott Spangler. He is an associate professor at Middle Georgia University. So, will you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Dr. Scott Spangler. I am a professor of information technology, information systems in the Department of IT, the School of Computing at Middle Georgia State University, where I've been there a little over 10 years as a faculty member and a provost fellow. Thank you for having me here today. I appreciate it.
Hello, Dr. Scott. Welcome to VUTV. Yeah, so my first question is, let's start with a quick snapshot. Okay, when someone asks you what you actually do, how do you explain it to a 17-year-old?
Yeah, first I tell them, look at me, because most of them are all texting, and all you see is the top of their head today, because, nobody communicates. Everybody is wrapped up in their world of innovations and technology. I love it. That's what I teach. It's what I live. It's the air we breathe. It's ubiquitous around us. But to tell a 17-year-old, first thing you do is, hey, we're over here, Get out of that technology. Sometimes you have to break that chain. They already know technology. So asking them what I do is kind of the oxymoron. I'm learning half the times from them because they go so fast. They grew up in this stuff. I'm the one trying to figure it out half the time to explain it to everybody else. But in layman's term, what I do, I try to understand the languages that we use, what we do with technology, how it fosters life, how it can help someone. I shudder away from the negative side. Everybody says, it's, AI is going to get us. We're this, we're doomed. No. I look at the positives and I try to explain how this stuff can actually help you grow and become a greater person to society and your community.
Okay, so there's a very famous question that AI is going to take our jobs.
No, AI is not going to take our jobs. Okay. AI is going to create more jobs. There was a great newspaper article. It was back in the 1800s, and I think it was in a Massachusetts newspaper. And it talked about how society was doomed. Life was over. This is it. We're done. We're going to ground. Everything is chaos. The youth are laying in the lawns next to the river. It's chaos. They're sitting on park benches. They're doing nothing. The world is going down. You know what they're talking about? A library card. They thought the invention of a library card, because students were going to swipe in this card. They didn't swipe then. They put their number out. They could go and get a book. And they were using it. They were educating themselves. They were getting these books. They were excited. So they were sitting on great days next to the riverbank where this little town was and on park benches and reading. They're educating themselves. But the library card, the most easy thing in the world to get, was observed back then as a functional problem in society, not as the gift it was to society. We just didn't understand it yet and how to use it.
Okay, so my next question is, before you were a professor, you worked in social media and communication.
Okay. Yes, I did. Yeah, I was a photojournalist for over 20 years. Great newspapers in America and some chains. I shot for a lot of productions and magazines. Wrote pieces. I saw some incredible things as a journalist, some terrible tragedies. But every time I did it, again, it's the same way. I tried to see things through humanity. How can I see this to help someone else? And in that field, my natural field was, as computers and technology grew, I grew with it because I knew that the traditional way we did things was going to change. Everything changes. You either adapt to change and go with it, or you're going to miss the train. You're going to be behind. So when I was in the journalism field, I was with a group of incredible journalists, and we were all on the forefront of computers, digital media, digital. We started doing the first digital clips and digital media pieces before it was anything in the mainstream, and putting it out on a digital newspaper and a website, rudimentary that we had at the time, and everybody's racing to do it. So I've always been adapting to technology and trying to use it to foster community relationships for myself, help people. But yeah, a long career there. It was fun.
So the nowadays, every student or everybody else, just just they are in their phone every time. Okay, they're scrolling social media every time.
Yeah.
How do you engage them? Okay, to make those things productive.
Make them productive.
Yeah.
Well,
Like make the digital media productive.
well, number one, if you focus on a goal and you determine a goal for yourself, using the media itself can be an instrument, a tool to help you create that. We were talking earlier to some of your great faculty here on campus, and I was saying to them, I said, I let my students have the freedom to use AI to help them for success. Why limit them? Why get a tool?
So
Take the tool away. And
don't you think that using AI will reduce the what you call imagination or the creativity of students?
yeah, multimedia, AI, all this comes together. We're not trying to get you to read a book and regurgitate a book. We're not trying to get you to write a piece of code and regurgitate it, or what we're doing. We're trying to get you to think critically. If you can't think and problem solve on a level higher, you are not going to go far. Universities and college like this one, like where I'm from, we're focused on the core values of learning, engaging, and adapting, so that we're creating a stewardship overall for the greater communication. If that tool is a multimedia piece, it is writing out and asking ChatGPT or one of these modules, that are out there from Gemini, whatever you choose, to say, hey, how can I set up a 10-step plan to make sure I'm getting an A this semester? How can I focus my study with my peers so that we have a study group and a test exam and something that we can utilize to create and hone our skills? Or how can we create and synergize together to create an overall plan for making sure we're a success and have a balance between everything we're doing?
So even technology is not bad,
No.
but we should use it in a proper way.
As long as you're harnessing the power of anything for good, it's going to be good. Take for example, say you're a mechanic.
Okay.
Back in the days, they had to adapt to all the technology in the cars. If you tried to examine a car today as a mechanic, and all you had was that monkey wrench, for lack of better terms, that's what we called it. My dad always called it, or a socket wrench or a screwdriver, and that's your tool set. You never adapted and changed. Could you fix a car today? Most of them can talk to us. They have machines that plug in and they tell you, hey, I'm sick over here, my whatever it is my cannulligan pin. I don't know the names of cars. I'm not a mechanic, but they're able to tell you and speak to us literally through a lot of these devices and tools. So you wouldn't want a mechanic looking at your car to try to not use the best tools to fix it. It's kind of putting yourself in jeopardy.
Okay, so you were an IT professor before. After the AI, how did you shift your curriculum to AI?
Well, I think the question is how am I going to continuously shift?
Yeah.
It's like anything else. We're adapting. That's what we do as professors. We have to look and say, well, the river's flowing this way.
Mm-hmm.
There was a great analogy from one of your deans, and he said, the river once shifted in an area where they built a bridge. They didn't predict the possibility of a shift in a river. We're trying to do that. We don't know all the answers. We're just researching and working with other peers and looking at industry, talking to industry and saying, we're going to predict that you need to know, and we're going to put everything we can in your toolbox to keep giving you the instruments you need if you're on that river to sail down it the right direction for success. So how do I do it? If I see something new, I try it. We learn by failure. I mean, it might not work. I've had things that didn't work. They were complete other, oops, well, that didn't work. But I learned through continuous improvement to say, well, you know what? Hey, guys, this is my, I tell all my faculty, it's the best way we grow, and students, and say, this didn't work, but I think if we try this, it will work. There was some success factors. You're never a failure as long as you're trying. I'm here in India today with you. Yeah. This was a challenge for me logistically to plan how to get here. I used every single tool in my bucket. I used my smartphone. I used AI to plan the trip. I asked, hey, what do I need to make sure that I need to know about coming here, from filing for a visa to getting help and all these tools? I used everything I could. Why wouldn't I want to do that? It's a great example of the same way when I go back to talk to students. I'm going to talk about this trip and the journey here with you as a project. So when I'm teaching a project management class, I'm going to say, hey guys, I use this tool, this tool, this tool, this tool. I use Trello to help map out some things and things in specific order that I need to accomplish so I make sure I don't fail. I used AI to help me map out a success plan of things that I needed to have done before I left the United States. So why wouldn't I want you to?
Okay. So that's when Stephen Covey enters the chat. Many adults knows his book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but most teens and college students haven't probably read it. What drew you to Covey's work?
I met him. When I was working for another university as a editor and visual editor, and I did all kinds of stuff with a great team there. Dr. Covey used to come and have a small conference on the campus every year, great teachers, and I had to cover it for the university and create multimedia pieces, or any of what we're doing here today, podcasts out of it, whatever we were doing in media. And I got to meet him. And at first I was, oh, he's got a book, whatever, and then I started hearing the passion that all these people were coming here and talking about how it changed their lives. And they were all teachers, mostly K through 12, high school teachers, younger. And I heard the passion in their voice. And I saw this guy, and I heard him talk. I met him behind the scenes. I had to photograph him. And over a couple years, I just kept listening and listening. And he has a program to go, and you can be educated in his methodology. It's a leadership thing. And president that I was working for had offered anyone who wanted to go get trained, we'll help you get trained. We'll give you time. We'll give you this. And I said, yeah, you know what? Why not? Let me do this. I had listened to Dr. Covey and heard his passion, his voice, and his empathy was so deep as a human. It changed me. And he tells a story in a book, but he also he told me the story before I read the book and anything, and it changed me. He was telling a story about how he was in New York City and he was exhausted. He was working these long shifts, and he was riding the subway, the train home late at night, and it was dark, and there was nobody on the train. So he's like, oh, great, I can just come here and sit and be done. Just relax. And the doors come open, and then a man comes in with 3 or 4 children, and they're they're running around, they're jumping, there's pulls in this, so they're swinging, and he just sits down. The guy's, he's just catatonic. He's the guy just wasn't listening. And Dr. Covey starts saying, this, I'm like, come on, get your kids, I just want to sit here. We've all been there. Everybody gets frustrated. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does stuff. And he was, and finally he just looks over and says, hey, buddy, can you take care of your kids? And the guy says, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. And he says, children, come over here. Sit down. And they sit down. He says, I'm sorry. We just left the hospital. We just lost their mother, and I'm just not here. I'm sorry, sir. And Dr. Covey said that was the moment that he understood empathy, because he said, if I could have got underneath my own shoes and hid, I would have. Here's this man who just lost the love of his life, his children's mother, coming from a hospital, and I'm snapping at him saying, hey, get it together. When he said that to me, I reflected on a lot of moments in life, and I'm going, wow, you never know what the other person's shoes are. And it changed me, and I see, and at that point I went and I got a copy out of the library. I think it was right out of the library. I loved it, and I read it from cover to cover, went and bought a copy, reread it, and started taking notes, and said, well, if so many people find change in this book and from this man, and he listened to 500 other incredible leaders across the world and was able to find these common factors, these 7 common factors they all had that made them a success or highly effective, as the book title is. I said, how do I use them for me so that I can get to my goal? And I started using the book to reframe work. How do I build relationships on a campus where they were all broken, everybody was siloed? And the first thing I thought of was, well, if anybody does anything for me, I'm going to go and do something kind for them, just out of just kindness. It changes the world. And I went and got the most ugly thank you cards you could ever find in your life at a dollar store. We call them dollar store, general store. Okay. They were cheap, And I brought them back to my office, and I started a habit of every day I would write one of these cards out. If somebody waved to me, I didn't even know them. Someone would wave back to you most times. I'd find out who the person was. I'd send them a card at the end of the day, put a stamp on it, drop it in the mailbox. It took me an hour every day. And they would get it in the mail. Back on the university, I could have walked it. And they were ugly. Some of them had glitter that would fall out. Remember this one that people loved? It says, I'm bananas for you. It had this monkey hanging a thing of bananas, and garbage would fall off of it. People started getting these, and the little small things sometimes will change how a person feels. Just the smallest gesture of kindness. This gesture of kindness created a habit across the campus of people looking to see who got these. And it changed the way we communicated, because it became a challenge to do something nice for Scott, which was usually by helping me with my job, helping me get a multimedia piece, tell me about a great photo opportunity or a story to write or something. Nothing for them, but just a way to get, and a competition to get these cards.
Okay, so you adopted these habits in your life, but as an IT professor, how do you apply these habits in a techie way, like for making Google calendars, YouTube explainers? How do you make your students' life better from these habits?
Great question. Yeah. Well, I have a podcast, sort of my own, that I give to all my students, and it's called 7 Habits of A Students. I looked at the factors that created A students in my classes, and there was habits. And so I helped them use technology to reinforce us, because you give them a tool they want. If you tell them we're going to use technology, use your smartphone and all this stuff, they're going to go after it. So the first thing I said is, okay, when you get in a class, we don't hide your assignments from you, your challenges, as I like to call them. Go in and make a Google Calendar. And every single assignment you have for this semester of every class, you put the dates they're due, and you back up 3 days, and you put an alarm on there. It says, hey, Scott, did you get that assignment done? Are you ready to turn it in for Professor X, Y, Z? Are you ready? If not, boom. The second thing is that's being proactive.
Okay.
Mapping out your destiny using technology is the easiest way. Use Trello. It's a free app, that you can use. I encourage students. It's a project management app where you can digitally make Post-it notes that you can prioritize things. Because we all fall in the trap. You want to go out with your friends and play cricket, or equestrian clubs down here. Maybe you want to go down and brush a horse or ride a horse, or you want to go do yoga, whatever it is. That's part of it too, is sharpening the saw. The end of Covey Habits is doing something you love as a treat. So I tell them, do something that you really want to do after you do your work. Make it a treat. But use Trello to take those Post-it notes and kind of reframe the important things. Well, I want to go out and play with the band. I'm playing guitar, whatever. But I know I got to do this assignment, and I got to edit my podcast. So you move podcast up. It's due first.
Okay.
Your test is coming Thursday. You move that. Friday, you got to read so much work, prepare for Monday. You get that done. And then you move those post-it notes that are go play soccer with your friends, or go brush a horse, go play guitar, listen, chill out with music, do something for yourself. Or at least take mini breaks. Set up alarms to say, hey, you've been studying for 4 hours. You need to go de-stress. Go do some yoga stretches. Everybody can do chair yoga. Little things like that. And overall, I tell them to synergize. The best way is create a group. We all have Teams or Zoom or access to one of these. You don't have to have the people right next to you. Put it out there and on Reddit or one of these places. Hey, I want to learn from great people. Can you want to synergize? Can we make a study group on how to code Python if that's what you're into? Put it out there, put a Teams thing up, and invite other students that are like-minded to get together and study. Share ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. You're creating community for success. And ultimately, I tell every one of my students, document everything you do in Google Docs. Save all your work. It becomes a book about you. Every paper, every test you've done, all your notes should be digitalized. You'll never lose them. You can access them anywhere. You go on vacation, there's that excuse. Oh, I was on vacation. Great professor. I went on a boat cruise. Great, I want you to. But you still should be able to access your stuff to study, move it forward. And it also allows you to do like a free Google site. They're so easy to build. And share it with your friends. Become a teacher. When you're doing that, you're synergizing with your peers. You're becoming the next great thing. You're becoming the mentor. And when you synergize, you do all this, you sharpen that saw by continuously improving, by learning from others and getting more mentors and putting them in your own. Make a podcast. Be dangerous. This is your world. You guys should be making a podcast about how to make a podcast. Be the teacher, be the mentor, and then share it on a YouTube channel with all your peers. And, hey, teach me chemistry since you're great at chemistry, and put it all together. Make a whole YouTube channel from you guys and use that digital technology to share and become mentors for everyone else on campus. Share it with the world. You guys are the future. Just use technology and create habits of success.
Okay, so for all the teenagers watching this video, can you just list all the 7 habits, in a different way for them to use it?
Sure. All right. Let's first things first. That's one of the habits. You've got to make a decision young in life on where you want to be 10 years, 20 years from now. I know it's a hard challenge. Covey says, putting that first things first sets up a goal mindset in a lot of ways. You can do that too. So first things first, like I said, make a Google Calendar for everything for you. Students at that age should be doing the same thing. You still have projects and you still have assignments. Yes, you have teachers that are, coddle you more there. But doing this is great. There's no reason why they can't get a mentor like you here. That's a great thing. And that's sharpening the saw, is 7th habit. It's continuous improvement, finding a great mentor up in the hill on this campus, or online at any universities, taking a university class. Now, as a 10th grader, we have a lot of students that are in college with me that they're high school students. They're getting college credit now, and they're graduating high school with an associate's and a bachelor's degree. They're 20 years ahead of me, because they have that opportunity now to grow. Mentor, getting a college class now counts for high school, counts for here. Those are 2 great ways. That's being proactive as well. It's win-win. You're strategizing everything. You're using every single Covey by doing that.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. It was a very pleasure having you on VUTV today.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Thank you, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode of VUTV.